Welcome to another deep dive. This time we're taking a deep dive into the world of bulldogs. You guys sent in a ton of articles about these iconic pups, from the classic English bulldog to some breeds, I'll be honest, I never even heard of, like the Quai de Boo and even like the red tiger bulldog.
And you've come to the right place to unpack all of it. We're not just going to rattle off breed info here.
Right.
We're going to really dig into what makes these dogs tick, what kind of health challenges they face, and what it really takes to give these dogs a good life.
Awesome. So listeners, get ready to dig in. We're about to unearth centuries of history about these dogs, some surprising traits, and just fascinating facts about a whole variety of bulldog breeds. For example, did you know that there are bulldogs out there with leopard spots and others that rug shoulders with royalty? Who knew?
Yeah, their story, the bulldog's journey through history, mirrors a dramatic transformation of their image. They went from these fierce fighters to, now they're considered family companions.
Right.
And it all starts with a rather grim beginning, I have to say, back in the 1200s in England with a quote-unquote sport called bull baiting.
Bull baiting already, that does not sound pleasant. What exactly was it?
So, as the name kind of suggests, it involved bulldogs.
Okay.
And bulls. They were pitted against each other as a form of entertainment, and it's as brutal as it sounds.
So were these dogs bred for aggression? I mean, that's a far cry from the, gentle giants we see a lot today.
You've hit the nail on the head. Those early bulldogs were bred for, strength, tenacity, and most importantly, a powerful bite.
Right.
In fact, that characteristic undershot jaw that we see in bulldogs today?
Yeah.
Where the lower jaw kind of juts out further than the upper jaw? It's a direct result of breeding for bull baiting.
I see. So it gave them, a stronger grip.
Exactly.
So how did we go from those, fierce fighting dogs to, the lovable companions we know now?
Well, thankfully, bull baiting was outlawed in England in the 1800s. So with the sport gone, the need for these aggressive dogs, that disappeared. And so breeders, they shifted their focus. They started selecting for temperament.
Okay.
They were aiming for calmer, more companionable dogs.
So it's kind of ironic that, the very features that once meant aggression, that stocky build, the strong jaw, the wrinkles, those are now part of their charm.
Exactly. And nowhere is this transformation more evident than in the iconic English bulldog. They're almost frozen in time. They carry that legacy of their past, in their appearance.
Right.
And speaking of the English bulldog, let's talk about this classic bulldog. What are some of their key characteristics?
Well, you can't mistake an English bulldog for anything else.
Yeah.
That short muzzle, the wrinkles, it's all laid out in the breed standard, which even today is linked to the bulldog's original purpose, even though, that purpose is long gone.
Yeah.
They also often have what's called a roachback, which refers to this distinctive arch in their back.
Interesting. We've also got an article here about cherry eye in bulldogs. What exactly is that?
Cherry eye, it sounds kind of alarming, but it's a fairly common issue, especially in breeds like bulldogs. It happens when the gland in a dog's third eyelid, it pops out of place.
Oh.
So instead of being tucked away, nice and neatly, it forms this red swollen bulge in the corner of their eye.
Oh, poor pups. That sounds painful.
It can be irritating for them, but thankfully it's usually treatable with a simple surgery.
Okay, good.
Now let's talk about another incredibly popular breed, the French Bulldog, or as many affectionately will call them, the
Frenchie.
The Frenchie.
Yes. Didn't French bulldogs used to hang out with Parisian market workers?
They did, yeah. Descendants of smaller English bulldogs were brought to France by lace makers in the mid-1800s.
Wow.
And, these dogs were prized by the workers, both as companions and for their ability to, keep rats at bay. It just goes to show, even back then, they were at home in, both working class and, like you mentioned, eventually high society settings.
And their popularity has exploded in recent years.
It really has.
They're even more sought after than Labrador retrievers now.
Yeah, that's right. French bulldogs are known for their adaptability and charm, making them suitable for a variety of living situations, even apartments. They're playful, they're alert, and incredibly affectionate.
But hasn't that surge in popularity come with some negative consequences too, an increase in thefts?
Yeah, it's true. Sadly, their desirability has made them a target. There have been numerous reports of French bulldogs being stolen and sold for like exorbitant prices, which is a
Yeah.
risk any potential owner needs to be aware of.
Right. So we've been talking about different types of bulldogs. How does the American Bulldog differ from, its English cousin?
That's a great question. They both have bulldog in their name and they share a common ancestor, but they've evolved quite differently.
How's
Well, the American bulldog, as the name, suggests, developed in the United States,
Okay.
particularly in the American South. And they were used as working dogs, often for like herding and guarding livestock. And this history has led to some like distinct physical and temperamental differences.
Interesting.
American bulldogs tend to be larger, a little less wrinkly, and they have a longer muzzle compared to their, English counterparts.
Okay.
They're also often described as more athletic and assertive.
So it's fascinating how, their roles have shifted over time, and how different locations have influenced, their development. But one thing seems consistent, that skin fold dermatitis seems to be a common concern.
Yeah, you're right. Those adorable wrinkles that give bulldogs their, unique look?
Mm-hmm.
They can unfortunately trap moisture and dirt, making them prone to skin fold dermatitis.
Oh.
And this can lead to, irritation, infections, and it requires careful attention from owners.
Okay.
Regular cleaning and drying of those folds is a must for any bulldog owner.
So while those wrinkles are undeniably cute, they come with a responsibility to take extra care.
Absolutely. Now, before we kind of delve further into, bulldog care, there's a whole world of, lesser-known bulldog breeds that I think you'll find fascinating. Have you ever heard of the Cod de Bou? The Cod de Bou, also known as the Mallorca Bulldog, they come from the Balearic Islands of Spain. And let me tell you, they have a presence.
They look pretty powerful, yeah.
Right.
How do they compare to the, English or French bulldogs?
They're definitely more athletic,
Yeah.
powerful head, strong jaws.
Oh, wow.
Historically, they were used for guarding and, yes, even bull baiting on the islands.
Oh, wow.
But, today, though, they're known for their loyalty and affection towards their families.
Okay.
But early socialization is key with these dogs, especially given, those guarding instincts.
That makes sense. What about those bulldogs with the, amazing leopard-like spots? We've seen some photos.
You're talking about the Catahoula Bulldog. Yeah, this hybrid breed is a mix of the American Bulldog and the Catahoula Leopard Dog, a breed native to Louisiana. They're known for those, striking merle coat patterns, which often resemble those leopard spots you mentioned.
So not your average lap dog, then?
Not at all. Catahoula Bulldogs are, incredibly energetic, intelligent. They need a lot of exercise and mental stimulation.
Okay.
They make excellent watchdogs, but they require experienced owners who can provide consistent training and socialization. And then you have the Old English Bulldog. This breed is a bit of a modern throwback.
A throwback? How so?
Well, despite their name, they're not actually an ancient breed.
Oh, okay.
The Old English Bulldog was developed in the 1970s
Oh, wow.
by crossing English Bulldogs with other Bulldog-type breeds like Bull Mastiffs and American Bulldogs.
So they were bred to resemble those, earlier bulldogs.
Exactly. The goal was to create a dog that resembled those 1800s Bulldogs, but with, improved health and temperament.
Yeah.
It's an interesting example of how breeders are trying to, balance historical looks with modern-day health concerns.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, it's time we address the elephant, or rather, the bulldog, in the room, brachycephaly.
Right. Those health challenges that can come with those flat faces.
Freak.
You've mentioned it a few times.
Yeah.
But let's unpack that a little further. What's the big deal with brachycephaly?
It's more than just a cosmetic feature, right?
Right.
Brachycephaly, with that shortened skull and flat face, it's a defining trait of many bulldog breeds.
Mm-hmm.
But it comes at a price. This compressed facial structure can lead to breathing problems. We're talking snorting, snoring, and in more severe cases, a condition called brachycephalic obstructive airway syndrome,
Oh, wow.
or BOAS.
BOAS. Okay. So those, adorable snorts aren't always so adorable.
Unfortunately, no.
Okay.
BOAS can range from mild to severe, and it can make it difficult for bulldogs to breathe, especially during exercise or, in hot weather. Some cases even require surgery to correct.
Wow. Okay. That's serious. What else should, potential bulldog owners know about the health risks?
Well, because of their unique build, bulldogs are prone to several other issues. We already talked about, cherry eye,
Yeah.
skin fold dermatitis.
Right.
They're also prone to hip and elbow dysplasia,
Okay.
joint conditions that can be, painful and affect their mobility.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, due to those short legs and, that stocky build, they're also prone to obesity, which can worsen existing health problems.
Right. So it's not just about providing love and cuddles. Owning a bulldog means being prepared for potential health issues and the cost that comes with them.
Right. That's why responsible breeding is so crucial. Reputable breeders, they're doing their part. They're being more selective about which dogs they breed, using genetic testing to screen for potential problems and, prioritizing the dog's well-being above all else.
So it sounds like potential bulldog owners, they need to be prepared to do their homework, in terms of understanding the breeds and then finding a responsible breeder.
Absolutely. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Before we dive into responsible ownership and, the ins and outs of bulldog care, let's talk a little bit more about those common bulldog personality traits.
Okay, yeah, let's talk temperament. What are these dogs really like?
Well, despite those tough guy looks, most bulldogs are actually big softies at heart. They're known for their gentle and affectionate nature.
But I have heard them described as a little stubborn. Is there any truth to that?
There can be. Bulldogs aren't always as eager to please as some other breeds. They're independent thinkers, let's say. So their training might require a little more patience and creativity. Positive reinforcement methods like rewarding good behavior are key with these pups.
So it's all about understanding what makes them tick.
Exactly. And speaking of understanding them, it's important to remember that bulldogs, despite that often laid-back demeanor, they still need regular exercise.
Oh, okay. They don't exactly strike me as marathon runners. What's the best way to keep them active?
Yeah. Short walks, playtime in the yard, even a good indoor game of fetch can do wonders.
And what about those sometimes audible breathing issues?
Right.
Are there things owners can do to make them more comfortable, especially, as the weather gets warmer?
Absolutely. Keeping them cool is key, especially in warmer climates. Avoid strenuous activity in the heat. Always make sure they have access to, fresh water.
Right.
And you can even consider using a cooling mat or a vest if you need to.
Oh, that's a good idea. Those are good tips. Now, back to the those lesser known breeds. Do they share similar personality traits with their more famous cousins?
There are definitely some common threads like loyalty and affection towards their people. But each breed has its quirks. The Caribou, for instance, with its history as, a guard dog, they might be a bit more reserved with strangers.
That makes sense.
Catahoula Bulldogs, on the other hand, are bundles of energy. They need a lot of mental and physical stimulation.
So again, doing your research is essential.
Exactly. It's not a one-size-fits-all situation. But, one thing that unites all bulldogs, regardless of their specific breed, is their love for, food.
Haha, yes. Okay, let's talk diet. What's the best way to keep a bulldog, happy and healthy in the food department?
Like all dogs, bulldogs thrive on a high-quality diet. But it's especially important for them to maintain, a healthy weight to avoid putting extra strain on those joints and, their breathing.
Right.
Obesity can exacerbate many of the health issues we've discussed.
So portion control is key.
Absolutely. And choosing a food that's specifically formulated for their needs, taking into account their age, activity level, any health conditions.
What about those powerful jaws? Are there certain types of toys that are best suited for bulldogs?
You want to go for durable.
Yeah.
Look for toys made of tough rubber or nylon that can withstand, a good chew session.
Right.
Kong toys, for example, are a popular choice for bulldogs. You can fill them with treats, keep them entertained and, mentally stimulated.
It's all about keeping those tails wagging. But let's shift gears here a little bit. Let's delve into what's, perhaps the most important aspect of bulldog ownership, making sure you're choosing the right dog for your lifestyle.
Yeah, that's where things get really personal.
Absolutely. There's no room for impulse decisions when it comes to bringing a dog into your life.
I couldn't agree more. Choosing a dog, especially a bulldog, with its unique needs, it's a big decision. You got to be honest with yourself about your lifestyle, your living situation and your experience level.
So where does someone even begin? What are the key factors to consider when deciding if, a bulldog is the right fit?
Well, start by taking a good hard look at your lifestyle. Are you the outdoorsy type who's always on the go? Or do you prefer a quiet night at home?
Right.
An energetic Catahoula Bulldog might not be the best choice for a homebody.
Yeah.
Whereas a, laid-back English Bulldog could be perfectly content with a less demanding routine.
It's all about finding like a good match for both your personality and your activity level.
Exactly. And don't forget about your living space, for a spacious yard,
Well,
or you're in a smaller apartment.
right.
Some breeds, like French Bulldogs, they're adaptable to apartment living,
Okay.
while others need more room to, roam.
That makes sense. Okay, so we've got space, lifestyle. What about like experience level? Are Bulldogs a good choice for like first-time dog owners?
It depends. Some Bulldog breeds, like English Bulldogs, can be like more challenging to train.
Okay.
And they might require a more experienced owner who's familiar with, their quirks.
So it's not just about like falling in love with those adorable wrinkles.
There's a lot more to consider.
Right.
Do your research, talk to breeders, spend time with different Bulldogs, get a feel for their personalities. Remember, this is a decision that will impact, both your life and the dog's life.
That's a good point. And speaking of finding the right dog, let's talk about like finding a reputable source.
That's a critical part of the process. Whether you're going with a breeder or considering adoption, finding a responsible source should be a top priority.
What should potential owners be looking for in a breeder?
A good breeder will be like knowledgeable about the breed.
Mm-hmm.
They'll have a genuine passion for, their dog's well-being, and they'll be happy to answer all of your questions, no matter how detailed. They should be transparent about their breeding practices, their health testing, the lineage of their dogs, and they should also be committed to finding like the right homes for their puppies, not just making a quick profit.
Yeah. It sounds like it's all about asking the right questions and trusting your like gut instinct.
Exactly. A responsible breeder will welcome your inquiries and, be proud to share their knowledge.
Yeah.
They should also be like readily available to provide, ongoing support and guidance, even after you've, brought your puppy home.
Okay. Now, what about adoption? Are Bulldogs commonly found in like shelters and rescues?
You might be surprised to learn that yes,
Okay.
there are many wonderful Bulldogs in need of, loving homes.
Mhm.
And adoption can be an incredibly rewarding experience, giving a deserving dog, a second chance at happiness.
It's a beautiful way to like welcome a dog into your life.
Yeah.
But what advice would you give to those who might be hesitant about adoption? Particularly if they're concerned about like potential behavioral issues
Right.
that can sometimes come with, rescue dogs.
It's true. Rescue dogs, they often come with their own unique histories.
Right.
And some might require a bit more, patience and understanding as they adjust to their new environment. But with love, consistency, and a commitment to, training, most rescue Bulldogs thrive in loving homes. It's all about being prepared to provide the support they need to, blossom.
That's reassuring to hear. So whether someone chooses to, go through a breeder or explore adoption, it's clear that responsible ownership is, paramount.
Absolutely. Bringing a Bulldog into your life, it's a commitment. It's a responsibility. It's a privilege.
Mm.
These aren't just dogs. They're family members.
Well said. Now, before we move on to our final segment where we'll, uncover some fascinating historical anecdotes and lesser known facts about these amazing dogs, I'm just curious, what's one thing that you wish more people understood about Bulldogs?
Oh, that's easy. Their intelligence. People often underestimate them because of that, laid-back nature.
Right.
But Bulldogs are incredibly smart. They just might have, a selective listening mode.
Aha.
But seriously, they're quick learners when properly motivated, and they thrive on, positive reinforcement.
That's a really good point. They are more than just their looks. Now let's dig into some of those historical tidbits, those fascinating facts you mentioned. What have you uncovered about these dogs that maybe surprised you? Back for more Bulldog adventures, you're talking about some fascinating facts, some hidden gems that you found while researching.
Oh, yeah.
I'm ready for it.
Well, we were talking about how French Bulldogs kind of climb the social ladder from market companions to high society favorites, right?
Right.
But did you know that one lucky Frenchie even traveled aboard the Titanic?
No way! Wait, was the dog okay?
Thankfully, yes. This particular Frenchie was insured for a whopping $750 at the time.
Wow.
And survived the sinking.
Wow. $750 back then must have been a small fortune. It seems like these dogs have always been highly valued.
They have. And speaking of history, you won't believe this, but English Bulldogs played a surprising role in World War II.
Now that I've got to hear what they do, sniff out landmines.
Not quite, though I'm sure they were up to the task. It was more about their image their tough, tenacious look, it became a symbol of England's resilience during the war.
Wow.
People even compare them to, like, Prime Minister Winston Churchill.
Yeah.
He was known for his, bulldog-like determination.
Oh, I love that. A tiny mascot with a big, brave attitude.
Yeah, they became morale boosters, embodying that, like, never-give-up spirit. It's amazing how certain breeds become so intertwined with historical moments,
It really is. It speaks to that, like, deep connection we have with dogs.
Mm.
They can kind of mirror our own strengths, even in the, like, toughest times.
Absolutely.
Speaking of tough, there's one more breed fact I have to ask you about.
Yep.
We talked about how the breed standard calls for that undershot jaw, right?
Right.
Where the lower jaw kind of sticks out a bit further than the upper jaw.
Yeah, throwback to their bull baiting days.
Exactly.
Well, that jaw structure, combined with those wide-set canines, it gives them a remarkably strong bite force. But it's important to remember that, a strong bite doesn't equal aggression.
Right.
Bulldogs, especially when properly, trained and socialized, are known for their, gentle nature.
Exactly. It's all about responsible ownership. We've said it like a million times this whole deep dive.
I know, right? And speaking of responsibility, there's been growing awareness about the ethical considerations of breeding brachycephalic dogs.
Yeah.
Some countries are even considering bans
Wow.
on breeding dogs with, like, extreme brachycephaly.
A ban. That's a pretty big deal.
It is. And it really highlights the seriousness of, those health issues. And it's sparking important conversations about, the welfare of these breeds.
Yeah, it really makes you pause and think about the impact of our choices as, like, breeders and as owners.
Exactly. It all comes back to, responsible breeding practices, prioritizing the health and well-being of these dogs above all else.
This deep dive has been eye-opening, to say the least. From, like, the brutal history of bull baiting to these, like, heartwarming tales of, like, transformation and companionship, from those, like, iconic wrinkles to their surprising strength. There's so much more to these dogs than meets the eye.
I think that's the perfect way to sum it up. We've, debunked myths, uncovered, fascinating facts, but most importantly, hopefully, given our listeners a deeper understanding of, like, what it truly means to welcome a bulldog into their life.
And with that, I think we've reached the end of our Bulldog Deep Dive. It's been an absolute pleasure exploring the world of these incredible dogs with you.
The pleasure was all mine. To our listener, if there's one thing to take away from all of this, it's that bulldogs are so much more than just a breed. They're a testament to resilience, loyalty, and that incredible bond between, humans and animals.
So until next time, may your days be filled with bulldog smiles and happy tail wags.